I just can't keep this fish alive. I just can't get these fish to breed. I just can't, once I get the fish to breed, I just can't keep the babies alive. Sound familiar? Well, guess what? It is perfectly normal. And let's talk about fish keeping. And what's the biggest thing you have to really think about, you're going to have to deal with, and you're not going to be okay with, is failure. Failure is a massive part of this hobby. I make videos, other people make videos of how to, don't do this, don't do that. And at the end of the day, we're all going to do exactly that and that. Some of you may not, but most of us, how we learn is we make mistakes. And regardless of how many videos you watch of how to do it, how much you research and all that stuff, you're going to make mistakes, because that's the way you actually get good at something. And the mistakes are where all the value's at anyways. Some of you may beat yourself up because you're failing at something. It doesn't have to be fish keeping, but you're not supposed to like failure. Failure is a learning experience. Well, hopefully it is. If you fail at something, you try again. But when you try again, sometimes you just have to try again, but sometimes you have to make changes. And in fish keeping, when you fail, when you're going to try again, it's usually it's not every time, but it's usually your best friend is small adjustments, not radical adjustments. Maybe there'll be situations out there that will take a massive adjustment. But once you finally learn the basics, how to just keep a fish alive, it's going to be the little tweaks that get you where you need to go. So don't beat you up. Again, I stress this. In a hobby that people get out of this hobby for a lot of reasons, not just because they're failing. But some of the reasons they get out of the hobby because they get sick and tired of fish dying, sick and tired of plants dying, whatever they're doing, they're just not having success at it. But there's a lot of other reasons why people get out of the hobby. Financial reasons, they're moving, they don't have time for the maintenance of the aquarium. There's many things, you know what I mean? So, but I'm talking about people that are getting out of the hobby because they get discouraged. Having failures and getting discouraged is where all the joy is going to come from later on. So don't let that be the reason you get out of the hobby. You just step back. You may need a little break from the hobby. If your fish die, maybe step back. Don't have any fish in your tank. Just let it be running. And then give yourself some time to do some more research. And when I say research, don't just go to one video or one person, or go bounce around and then come up with your idea. And then that's the neat thing about this. We can have our own ideas, then we can go watch people that are doing and having success at something, and we can take 20% from them, 20% from her, 20% from them, her, and put it together, and we will have our own little concept of how we want to set up our aquarium, how we want to breed our fish, and it makes it more fun because you have your original ideas in there. Or maybe they're not original, but you know what, it's a funny thing, a little side note. I've done a lot of fish keeping, and then I try new things. I go, why don't I just do this and do that? And I'm going to tweak this, I'm going to change this, I'm going to modify this. And you think you're onto something, like, why is not people doing this? And then you see people say, well, they've been doing that for 30 years. And you're like, oh, okay. But that's kind of neat because I learned that through just trial and error on my own. I didn't just go right there and grab it. So sometimes maybe you need to just go for it, make mistakes, and tweak it on your own, and come up with your own ideas how you're going to set up your aquarium or whatever you're doing, and then learn it that way. Everybody learns different, but what I'm just trying to get at, if there was no such thing as failure in fish keeping. Yeah, it may be fun for only a few people, but most of us wouldn't have any joy in it. Wouldn't have anything. Could you imagine if some people might say, yeah, I would love that. But imagine if you just set up an aquarium, you put fish in it, and you just walked away from it, and the only thing you ever had to do is feed it. And that was it. You never had to scrub it, you never had to clean it, fish never died, plants never died, everything was luscious, perfect, easy. People that are just coming home and want to stare at your aquarium, that might be a perfect world, but a lot of us like to try to breed fish. We're trying to keep rare fish. We're trying to grow new things. Maybe we're trying to sell some of the stuff. So there's a lot of failures we're dealing with that makes the hobby a lot of fun. And without them, the hobby's not fun because it's not rewarding, because you have to work really hard at this. You have to learn patience. I always say patience is like everything in this hobby, and being able to make small, manageable moves, no drastic moves, tweaking things at a little bit at a time and giving it enough time to correct, because we are dealing with natural nature things. And we may be able to speed it up a little bit, but you ain't going to be able to make things overnight. Some of these projects that we're working on sometimes take a lifetime to figure out. Or it takes several years to figure out, how do I breed this fish? Or it could take months. That's why there's all these entry-level things. Take this fish, breed this fish. And you could be breeding this fish in a week, and then you move to something where, well, it takes 2 or 3 years for the fish to grow out. Then I have to go through all these scenarios to trick the fish into thinking that it's time to breed. Fish keeping is the general concept of fish keeping is really easy. There's just a lot of little things that can get confusing, which causes us to have mistakes. And it's just something we have to work through. Don't give up on it. Try again. Write down, think about it. Why do you think my fish keep? If I have a fish that dies, you buy a fish. Let's see if this first time. You buy one fish. Doesn't matter what it is. You have it for 2 weeks. You come home after work. You look in the tank and it's dead. You go, oh no, my fish died. The first thing you're thinking about, my water parameters, my temperature. Did I feed it enough? These are things that are going in your head. And you're like, I don't know any of that. I don't know that. So what's your choices now? You check your water, the water's stable. You check your temperature, stable. You got one choice. It's to try again. But if those things are all stable, if all those things are well within range, right, and everything looks okay, the next time you get a fish, maybe this is how you should be thinking about. It could have been just a fluke. You could have bought it from the best fish seller in the world, and so you're like, but most likely that's not the case. Let's say there's a couple things. You could try a different seller, or you can just try again. Now, if you go to the same seller and the same fish dies again, now and your water parameters are all the same again. Now maybe we have a problem here. Maybe you're getting sick fish. Or maybe you need to learn how to medicate. You need to learn the whole thing about quarantining and stuff when you get a fish. I'm not a big fan of getting a fish home and immediately dumping meds in it. I'm a fan of getting a fish home, looking at it for sometimes several months, and then just making a decision. Am I going to medicate it? Does it have any underlying things? Some of these issues of fish, you're not going to know for a while. You're not even know you have a sick fish for a while. But if you going back on subject, because I'm drifting, you have to make little steps when you're making failures. So you have to tweak it. If you try again, the fish dies, you definitely have to think about buying from another vendor. Now I'm not talking about sensitive, super rare fish. Some people struggle with those it doesn't matter where you're buying it from. But if you're taking a fish that is somewhat easy, a moderate way, like it's not that hard of a fish to keep, and you're seeing people that are having no problems, but every time you get it, you're having problems, and all your parameters check out. You're feeding it correctly, your water's correctly, the temperature's correct. You may have to think about where you're sourcing. So the whole video is about it's okay to fail. You're going to fail. It's a part of the hobby. The hobby, general fish keeping, again, is easy. We say it, we all say it all the time. But there's a million little things that you do in the hobby that some can be harder than others to get where you want to go. My name's Jacob. I invite you to subscribe. I appreciate all of you. Hopefully you guys got something out of this, and don't beat yourself. But again, the last thing we want to see is somebody leaving this hobby that can bring so much joy. It can get frustrating in the beginning, but you know what? Like I said again, and I'll remind you one more time, nothing that is easy in life, nothing that you have, if you don't have any failures in what you're doing, I have a hard time believing that you're going to get any type of enjoyment out of it. It's in the struggles and our failures is where the joy will come one day. Take care. Have a great day. Go grab yourself a fish tank. Look for curbs. Look for trash day. Look for garage sales. Look for fish clubs. There is no reason why you can't have some form of tank, a thing that holds water, and something that gives you some enjoyment after a long, stressful day. It's your little tank with your buddies and your fish swimming around, having a lot of fun. Bye-bye. Take care. See you on the next one.